YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
It's official. Yes. Overnight, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce saying yes in the most anticipated celebrity wedding of the year. A just married sign with TNT lighting up Madison Square Garden to mark the occasion.
Oh my, Tom, I gotta show you this, Tom. Look at that sign up there.
We were live on NBC News Now when we noticed the sign unexpectedly changed.
I'm actually a little bit speechless right now.
In a statement, Swift's rep telling NBC News the ceremony was officiated by the couple's friend, comedian Adam Sandler, adding Taylor and Travis did not have bridesmaids or groomsmen. Instead, her brother Austin Swift served as Taylor's man of honor, and Jason Kelce was Travis's best man. The pair donning Christian Dior haute couture for the ceremony, as well as custom Christian Louboutin shoes, Taylor and Cartier jewelry. The big day arriving after months of anticipation from Swifties worldwide.
I drove all the way from Indiana to see this wedding, and we were blasting Love Story.
The pop superstar and NFL great celebrating with over 1,000 friends and family, according to an internal police memo. The guest list packed with A-listers, including Hugh Grant, Ethan Hawke, and Jason Sudeikis, who were spotted walking into the venue. Carly Kloss, Camila Cabello, and Bradley Cooper also seen dressed to the nines. There was a massive police presence as a steady stream of tinted black SUVs arrived at Madison Square Garden. A source invited to the event telling NBC News guests were sent non-disclosure agreements along with the electronic invites. The party of the decade lasting into the wee hours of the night. Even the city's skyline getting in on the celebrations. The iconic Empire State Building lit up in a lavender haze.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. The secretive wedding of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. And there's so many things to talk about when it comes to this wedding. But of course, we don't have any photos from inside of the wedding. We just have information coming out about guest lists, about some of the themes inside of the wedding. But they don't want you to see any photographs inside the wedding, which of course is pretty bizarre, right? When you think about the behavior of most of these celebrities who put out there pretty much every single thing they're doing on social media 24/7. And if they wanted this wedding to be so secretive, we all know they have the money to go to a secret island somewhere and get married, or they don't need to make it public because they could go somewhere in their private jets and elope. But no, they wanted to make sure everybody knew they were getting married. And of course, at Madison Square Garden during a heat wave where most New Yorkers were asked to ration or shut off their electricity. In fact, most people had their electricity shut off because of the heat wave that's occurring currently in America. And if you read between the lines, you could see some of the themes here, like Travis and Taylor had their wedding at Madison Square Garden utilizing underground tunnels connected to Penn Station to facilitate Pentagon-level secrecy for high-profile guests. So why was it so secretive? Don't celebrities usually want all of their pictures put online? What are you going to tell us? Eventually, they're going to leak pictures to us so that we can all see it. They want to sell the photos to People Magazine or other outlets and make money off of it. Or were they hiding something inside of this venue because it was likely a gigantic satanic ritual? And we can look at that from all of the people who were in attendance, from Jennifer Lopez to Paul McCartney to Tom Cruise to Tom Hanks. You'll see all these people who are there. It's a who's who of the Illuminati inside of Madison Square Garden. Why'd they pick Madison Square Garden, for starters, right? They wanted to be so secretive you couldn't have picked a venue that couldn't have been less secretive, right? Right in the middle of New York, Madison Square Garden, known as the world's most famous arena. Of course, I'm sure it's a coincidence that Madison Square Garden happens to be on West 33rd Street. Of course, that number's so significant to the occult 33, of course, the highest number in Freemasonry one could ascend to. 33 represents 1/3 of the fallen angels referenced in the Bible. And of course, 33 is believed to be the age that Jesus Christ was actually murdered by these same people and these same bloodlines who were all in attendance at this wedding. So they wanted this thing to be so secretive that employees of Madison Square Garden were forced to sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. And if they told anybody about anything happening inside, they will, and some have already lost their jobs. So first we can look at Madison Square Garden on 33rd Street, right? And we can look at the origins of these types of buildings. Nobody thinks about who built Madison Square Garden, who built this building, why is this the world's most famous arena, why is it located on 33rd Street? Well, we can look at the origins. It was built by P.T. Barnum. Here's some elite bloodlines for you. P.T. Barnum, who ironically is known for the greatest show on earth, the branded circuses that he ran, and now we just live in an everyday circus. And how apropos, right? Because this wedding, of course, is nothing more than a satanic circus. And William Vanderbilt, another elite bloodline. You could scroll down the second Madison Square Garden when they update Madison Square Garden and renovate it. J.P. Morgan has his hand in it. Andrew Carnegie, right? I mean, that's kind of crazy, right? I mean, J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie, the Vanderbilts, these guys all have a connection to each other, right? I mean, J.P. Morgan, right? What did I hear about him? Oh, right, as I've exposed in the past for anyone out there wondering about J.P. Morgan and the Titanic, right? You know why Titanic's so important? And they always talk about Titanic. What do you think? It's the only ship that's ever sunk? They made it into one of the biggest films of all time, of course, so that you would always think about Titanic and think about Leonardo DiCaprio, especially in a world where more information was becoming available as the internet was released to the public. Because remember, they need the internet of bodies, they need the digital ID. These are all part of our enslavement matrix grid. But there's cons to the internet for them, and that's people waking up by finding channels like this or finding information online about who and what is really going on in the world. So conveniently in the 90s, as the internet was born, they came out with a fictional story surrounding the Titanic starring Leonardo DiCaprio. It's one of the most famous films of all time. So whenever anyone thinks of Titanic, that's what they think of. They think of Celine Dion, who have exposed occultist Satanists, right? Her new transgender witchcraft clothing line for children. They think of Leonardo DiCaprio, another free, Illuminati puppet doing the all-seeing eye symbolism I've exposed, of course. And then you get James Cameron, who has films like Titanic, as well as predictive programming films like Terminator, and we can go down the line to Avatar, another Illuminati puppet who didn't just come up with these ideas. They're given to him, okay? They're given to him as part of predictive programming and conditioning, right? So these stories are a fabric in our society for a reason, and they don't want you to realize what the Titanic really was, right? You ever hear the stories about the Titanic that I've talked about? Famous figures who had Titanic tickets but didn't make it on board, right? You ever think about that? How a lot of these people, a lot of rich people were on Titanic. That's what they tell you in the movie, right? A lot of rich people, famous people, right? But then a lot of them got off the ship before it left. It kind of reminds us when those two towers were demolitioned in New York City and you were told 2 planes went through it, right? And that aluminum could do that to steel. I mean, we don't need to get into that. But remember how many people left and didn't show up for work on that day conveniently? A lot of those people with the pointed, hooked noses who conveniently didn't show up for work. That day, well, same thing with the Titanic. J.P. Morgan, who, of course, is the one responsible for the sinking of the Titanic, if you didn't know, because the sinking of the Titanic was so crucial in the implementation of the Federal Reserve, and really where you find the tentacles of the New World Order, this cash money system that they have full control over. J.P. Morgan had to sink that ship for many different reasons. He swapped the ship out, of course. It was not really the Titanic that went down. It was the sister ship, the Olympic. They swapped boats knowing that that boat would specifically sink. There were many people who were rich on that boat who were opposed to the idea that J.P. Morgan had of establishing, of course, along with the Rockefellers and many others, the Federal Reserve and, of course, the Rothschilds, who we can't forget. So he got off the ship before it sank, of course, because he knew what was going to occur, and he told his buddies like Alfred Wayne Vanderbilt as well to make sure he got off the boat, right? How convenient that Morgan and Vanderbilt off the boat, and both of them had their hand in building out Madison Square Garden, among many other things, like I said, including the Federal Reserve. So back to the story of these NDAs signed. They wanted this thing to be very, very secretive. And ironically as well, it's revealed because some stuff has come out because that's how this whole thing works. We're going to reveal little stuff and the sheeple in the public want to hear about it, right? The theme was secret garden. The wedding was a secret garden. Right? They love their secrets. It was a secret wedding already and then a secret garden on top of it. And then, of course, if you don't know, the tie into witchcraft and paganism and the occult with Secret Garden. Now, many of you will think of the Bruce Springsteen song, Secret Garden, or the book, Secret Garden. But a secret garden is a metaphor for a witch's garden, hidden or private space for growing herbs, performing rituals, connecting with nature spirits, elements, and the earth goddess. Okay, it invokes sacred groves. You can go, it's all about esoteric, hidden knowledge, which is a common theme we see in the occult, right? So secretive. And look, here's Taylor telling you all the time throughout imagery and album covers and photo shoots, shh, right? Was this a premonition for a secret wedding? Is that what it was? Or she already knew it was going to be the secret garden theme when she was in her early 20s, right? Or his early 20s, right? It's just, again, over and over. Does she just not want you to know that she broke wind when she's taking selfies of herself, holding up a finger over her? No, of course, this is the vow of silence, the oath of secrecy that all of them take, which is why you see collages of all these celebrities holding up a finger over their lip, right? Because they know you're too dumb to figure out what it is that they're doing. Well, they're saying, remember, to one another, we've taken an oath of silence to keep this secret from the rest of humanity, because if they find out that we're in collusion with one another, all the big bankers, all the fake actors in politics, all the fake actors in Hollywood who were really CIA plans, well, then if the secret got out, they would come and find us and they would overtake us and it would be over. The game would be over, right? So that's why you see all these ridiculous actors from like shows like, CSI to guys like David Bowie to Rihanna getting it tattooed on her finger, right? Lindsay Lohan tattooing her finger, Robert Downey, right? Yeah, it makes sense. Every time you take a photo when you're at a group gathering, is that the first thing you think of? Is either put your hand over your eye or your finger on your lip, right? But the public, again, are not trained in signs and symbols and to see these codes. But I always mention, if you saw a gang sign in a movie, a gang hold-up sign, ooh, it's a gang sign. Well, here's the gang. It's all the people worshipped, all the people who are in the money, all the people who control politics, who you're told you elect in, who are just put in without being elected, right? The secret is that they're on the in and you're on the outs, unless, of course, you wake up to what's going on. So the Secret Garden theme, and Taylor Swift's all about secrets. Now, what I need to note before we get into detail about some of the stuff that's come out about the wedding is that Newsweek and other media outlets, this isn't ridiculous, but this shows you how mind control works, right? Newsweek, which you think of when you think of Newsweek, you're like, oh, Newsweek, USA Today, go get your real news there, right? They're deemed credible, viable sources in the world. They have an article out there, Travis Kelce's dad, 3-word response to Taylor Swift marriage claims. You go, oh, what is this article about here? Well, this entire article is about a post made on Instagram where a televangelist from Arkansas claimed that Satan is engineering Taylor Swift's marriage to Travis Kelce so she can give birth to the Antichrist and launch the apocalyptic 1,000-year war against Christ. So any person who reads that automatically dismisses the notion of these people being Satanists, being witches, being in the occult, because they hear things that are worded like that, their mind automatically dismisses it, right? Everybody, even who listens to my channel, who's awake and aware, who believes in Christ and the Antichrist and what is coming and the beast system that they're setting up, we all can hear that sentence and say it's absolutely absurd, right? But that's what they love, is when televangelists do stuff like this, because they put articles out there on purpose so that when stories post-wedding come out or videos like this come out, that everybody out there just automatically dismisses, oh my gosh, this guy's out of his mind. He's talking about the Antichrist being born. Now, nobody's saying the Antichrist is being born this age. Some believe the Antichrist is already here, or Antichrist plural are already here. We've all seen stuff with the Moonchild and Elon Musk. I've talked about this stuff. Videos are available on the website. But Newsweek is covering something so ridiculous as this to plant seeds in the public's mind, because people will read this type of stuff, right? So somebody, the minister out there says that he's been making claims online for months about this birth of the Antichrist happening at the wedding at Massacre, which very well could potentially be true. I mean, we don't know. We weren't inside. And whatever they tell us happened inside, we can't actually believe. Remember, these people were entering through secret tunnels, and we know the majority, if not all those satanic rituals that they do, are done underground. They're no longer done out in the woods, as Taylor Swift told you many times in her songs, which I'll get into in a minute. So it goes on to say, Travis Kelce's father finds the claim hilarious. And he says, I love it. And then somebody says Papa Kelce, the GOAT, greatest of all time. They wanted to make sure you knew that in the article, of course, because referencing the GOAT is really referencing the Baphomet. But again, they've normalized the term GOAT to mean greatest of all time so that they can get away with this stuff in society with idol worship for goats, but also really just normalizing the GOAT itself, which is the Baphomet. So they have that article out there, of course, and then they want to make fun of conspiracy theorists. But we can look at the obvious signs and symbols that show us that these people are in the occult, right? Here's Taylor, those gigantic man hands, holding a hand up over its eye, right? Peekaboo, there's Taylor. Doing it again here. This is a subtle way that they do it. They put their hair over their eye like this. This is all seeing eye symbolism, very obvious. Again, here's another one, arm up, hair over eye. Nobody would even notice she's doing the all-seeing eye symbols unless you're awake to this. And this is just another one this is one of the ones I got a kick out of with Taylor Swift, who I've broken down so many times over the years in so many videos, which are available on the website. The Tortured Poets Department. This was the picture they released, of course. Is that not obvious all-seeing eye symbolism? I mean, you know how hard how they had to move and position their arms to make sure they got this shot so they could do the all-seeing eye symbolism. But it's a conspiracy, right? Just like every one of these celebrities you're seeing on your screen over and over and over again doing the same thing, right? They all just, they love to go shh, put their finger on their mouth. They all love to hold their hands over their eyes, right? When they get for album covers or photo shoots, the guy taking the pictures just ask him to do it, right? That's what Roseanne told us. They just ask you to do it. We don't know what we're actually doing. Another puppet Roseanne was actually subscribed, I saw, to my channel at one point in time before my channel got deleted and brought back, right? Because they were keeping tabs on me, of course, because you could see who's subscribed on your subscription page as the content creator. You can see all the people who sub and how many subs they have and who they are. Then Roseanne came out and said, because all these people who say that stuff with the eye and I'm a Satanist, they're all crazy conspiracy nuts. So Roseanne, who had followed my channel, of course, was making sure she was getting stuff out there, studying the stuff I was putting out, trying to deflect because Roseanne has seen so many times doing all-seeing eye symbolism and many other things, right? Just like all these celebrities. Yeah, the photographer asked them all to put their hand up over their eye. Eminem, etc., Lady Gaga, all people who show satanic imagery and bloodbaths and etc. in their music videos and songs of Baphomet worship. I mean, we can go on and on and on for hours about this stuff, but let's continue on. Here's Taylor Swift, the top hat, the Freemasonic top hat, which I've exposed many times. In the 666, you'll notice with the fingers on the cap. It's another little thing that they like to do in their imagery with the fingers like that, like pretending they're doing a tip of the cap, but they're doing the 666 hand sign. She does it again here. Right? It could be more obvious. She didn't say, "Well, I want to use my index finger." You got to do the thumb and the index finger, and make sure the other three fingers are completely visible. Couldn't just grab. I mean, it's so obvious to those who are awake with eyes to see, and of course ears to hear. Here she is doing the devil horns, and again, I'll say she or he. Well, nobody needs to constantly comment and tell me what the gender is. I think we all kind of know with all these inverted celebrities. Here's the Monarch Butterfly program. Again, all these celebrities who always are posing with butterflies. That is because they're showing you they are products of CIA, MK Ultra mind control programming. They are created to be social influencers. They are part of the Tavistock Institute. And she does it over and over again, right? Monarch Butterfly has to do with splitting alters, creating alter personality. She does it. I mean, you got the pictures in front of the butterfly. You have Taylor Swift butterfly tattoos in her Calm Down video, which another video I broke down. That's available on the website. The bird cage symbolism as well as MK Ultra symbolism, and the shattered glass, where you can see here the all-seeing eye symbolism in her music videos, as well as Taylor Swift doing all-seeing eye symbolism and her or his reflection in the mirror. This again is just confirmation that these are CIA operatives who are under full-on mind control. They've sold their soul, so to speak, to Satan for fame and fortune. And the other references we always see with Taylor Swift and all these celebrities are always biblical. Right? They pretend not to believe in God, but then they're always referencing God and the devil because they have to reveal themselves as part of universal law, right? So the apple in one of the videos, nobody notices this stuff because they're just staring into Taylor's manly eyeballs, and they're going, "Oh, what's Taylor talking about with those gigantic hands?" And there's an apple and taking a bite of the apple. This is referencing the forbidden fruit and the forbidden knowledge. We had a video where even Breakable Heaven, the board game, devils roll the dice, angels roll their eyes. And of course, this tied into the very this shows you how social engineering works. The obsession with Taylor Swift, right? Taylor Swift portrayed as Jesus Christ. I mean, the mockery of Christ just continues through these celebrities. Taylor Swift's Rio de Janeiro fans hope to honor the singer's tour with Christ the Redeemer's statue facelift, they would put a reflection or projection, I should say, of Taylor Swift's face on that statue of what is supposed to be Christ, the Redeemer. No, we don't need to get into detail about idol worship and statues and what Jesus really looks like, but we're looking at this from the perspective of mass insanity and idol worship, right? Where people are putting and portraying her in the light of being Jesus Christ himself. So we also had stories out there over the years that I've covered with Taylor Swift and the American Heart Association and Beyonce, and how Taylor Swift's music can save your life. So the hysteria is real, of course. Taylor Swift, again, the heart symbol, her and Travis have that in common. It's probably how they fell in love, right? Right? I love holding up the heart. I mean, what does this have to do with football and catching a ball that's thrown to you? Right? He holds up the heart symbols. Again, I covered this all the time. The heart is a symbol of Nimrod among the ancient Babylonians. Again, it was a symbol for Baal. The word for heart in the Babylonian language was Baal. It was a symbol for Baal, Lord of the Babylonians. Other references, biblical references, again, with the lightning bolts, they always do the lightning in these music videos or in their logos, as I've covered Luke chapter 10, verse 18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. That's why you always see lightning imagery. And the arms crossed, another one that nobody pays attention to, right? We see it in Freemasonry. We see all these over the arms folded across the chest, okay? This is Osiris risen, okay? Here you see Taylor Swift in the bathtub doing the Osiris risen symbolism. And again, one of the things surrounding this wedding, a lot of this type of imagery as well with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce in bathtubs. This is the baptism, the Satanic baptism. There's a lot of occultic imagery in this with the ring as well. That gold ring. This was stuff that was seen around America leading up to the wedding, right? So the bathtub is symbolic to the baptism. But back to the arms crossed. Again, we see Satanists like Stephen King, Elon Musk with X. Why do you think it's actually called X? Do you think that's a good name? My video, X Marks the Spot. The Antichrist transformation available on the website. You can learn more about this symbol, but you can see all these celebrities doing it. So this is, I show you this so you can see the pattern here with occult symbolism. The arms folded in the bathtub. Okay, look at all these celebrities from Matt Damon, Jerry Seinfeld, people I've exposed. There's videos on Seinfeld as well. Robin Williams and his quote-unquote sacrifice. All of them. Miley Cyrus, the virus, who you could just go down a deep rabbit hole with adrenochrome, and Pizzagate with Miley as well. This, again, in Freemasonry and the occult, the Ordo Templi Orientis is Osiris risen. The arms crossed right across the chest to make an X symbol. And again, I mean, Out of the Woods summarizes best, right? Taylor Swift, Out of the Woods, is a reference, that famous song that Taylor Swift had a couple of years ago. This is referencing how the Satanists and witches are coming out of the woods because they used to perform these rituals in the woods, right? Think about witchcraft. All you know about witchcraft, which most people know nothing about, is that they would do this stuff in the woods, right? You think of a witch like, oh, they're going in the woods, they're wearing these cloaks, right? That's what your mind has been trained to think. They're going out there, that's where they're performing the ritual, okay? Well, this whole song was about coming out of the woods into the open, which is what their goal's always been. That they don't have to do this in hiding anymore, that they could do it out in the open. And they've been normalized these things with paganism becoming normal with these holidays, these rituals. They've even, obviously, with New Age Christianity, a lot of this stuff has been picked up in Christianity. A lot of these people are just so clueless that they actually are doing this stuff with rocks and altars in their homes. But there's even a little clip from Taylor Swift's concerts that I showed over the years where they're performing this ritual in a ritual circle. It shows you this is a witch, and you could hear these people in the crowd just having spells cast on them. Right? I mean, it's mass hysteria. This is spellcasting. That's what music really is. They put articles out there. Satanic ritual at Taylor Swift shows. That's false, experts say, right? And of course, Taylor Swift fans leaving concerts with amnesia. Remember, they use frequencies through music to spellcast on you. And that's why you see stories like this about people getting amnesia. Oh, yeah? You think it's normal to get amnesia going to a concert? It's one thing to go to a concert and be blacked out on LSD or something, or drugs or alcohol, whatever, and be like, I don't remember the concert, bro. I was so wasted. We've heard people do that and talk about that before. Now, these are sober people going to concerts and having no recollection of the concert. Yeah, and that's normal, we're told, right? Because they're using different frequencies now on the crowd. And of course, we know people have that certain thing injected in them, so it has an even bigger effect on them when you have nanotechnology embedded in your skin, in your flesh, and then they're using frequencies. Saw it at the Travis Scott concert as well. So all this imagery with Taylor Swift, again, as we get back to the wedding, as I'm just showing you things so you have an idea if you're new to this, Taylor Swift and the occult, not hiding the witchcraft with Out of the Woods, not hiding, some of the videos where they're doing rituals, even wearing, the mask, the satanic mask. And let's not forget the tie-in with Zena LaVey, who is the daughter of Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. And they like you to think this is a huge, they love to make you think that this is like a conspiracy theory, that cloning's a conspiracy theory, that them wearing masks and playing dual roles is a conspiracy theory, because it's hard for anyone to comprehend that. They feel like they know these celebrities because these celebrities are shown on TV, then they see them on Instagram, they think they're showing them their real life and who they really are. So thinking about people playing dual roles, it's almost impossible for them to accept. Cloning, impossible for them to accept, right? And even though it's very clear that they can do it, the government, as I've shown you in videos, which again are available on the website, even with Bill Clinton talking about cloning, it's here, it's real. We're going to protect this type of technology so it doesn't get in the wrong hands. But guess what? The wrong hands is your government, who has this type of technology. So Zena LaVey, look how uncanny the comparisons are between the two. Their faces look almost identical to one another. Now, you might want to believe that one is the same and one is the other, but you can't deny the fact that these two look almost identical and that they are definitely bloodline related, which is why Taylor Swift is pushed down our throats. I mentioned this, talk about the West Memphis 3 recently in one of my videos about human sacrifice, about the blood contract with Aleister Crowley. My belief that Damien Eccles and these children had, these kids who performed the satanic ritual had a direct bloodline connection to Aleister Crowley, which is why they performed the ritual and prayed and wrote letters to Crowley. And of course, had all these celebrities come and get them out of prison. Right? Well, think about the bloodline with Taylor Swift here. Who could Taylor Swift possibly? Oh, Anton LaVey? You think? If they're not the same person, they're definitely bloodline related because their faces are almost identical to one another. So we've seen this imagery over the past. Again, let's look at Travis Kelce now, where this is a Freemasonic ritual on stage, the top hat, the suits that they're wearing. This is, you've probably seen this and your brain doesn't remember seeing these types of rituals with Madonna, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. They did the same thing with Kelce and Taylor Swift at a concert. And of course, Travis Kelce he plays this humorous character, even though he's not humorous at all. He does stuff, he posts like this was in 2010. He's a Freemason, so is Obama. George Washington was too. And so was Jesus. So not just being blasphemous, but trying to, make a mockery of Freemasonry by going, oh, Obama. So somebody goes, oh, okay. He's talking about, Travis Kelce must be in the know, and George Washington was too. Oh, then he says, so was Jesus. And of course, this is just deflecting because Travis Kelce himself is a Freemason. And you can see him doing the Illuminati hand symbolism here, even wearing the shirt with the spiral occult symbolism, which ties into Pizzagate as well. But really what people should remember, as I covered when they put this arranged marriage together, is Travis Kelce does indeed have blood on his hands. Because remember who was one of the first people to go and tell you to get boosted. These suckers with no shame who do as they're told. Because remember, after you do things like this, then you get put even more in the public eye. Nobody had a clue who Travis Kelce was 10 years ago. Okay, unless you watch football. You knew he was a tight end on the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a position in football that's not even, a lot of people know quarterbacks in football, like, oh, they see them in commercials. No, tight end has never been a big position that people would talk about. He was quietly a tight end. Then all of a sudden, he's doing commercials for the booster, and he's suddenly marrying Taylor Swift, right? Look at this commercial.
Travis, did you know you can get this season's COVID-19 shot when you get your flu shot?
Two things at once. Two things at once! Two things at once! I'll have two things at once, please. Now, back to two things at once. Two things at once.
That's not two things at once.
Mom!
Travis, ask about getting this season's COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot.
We'll all remember that, Travis. The blood is on your hands. So some of the information that's come out about the wedding, and they're going to eventually give you fake pictures, I'm sure, which will be AI pictures, because I'm sure it was a gigantic satanic ritual, right? But some of the stuff that's come out, let's look at Adam Sandler officiated Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's wedding, right? And like, just like Taylor Swift, I mean, Adam Sandler's all about secrecy. Here he is. Shh, don't tell, right? One of his albums that he had, comedy albums, supposedly comedy, right? Look at him. Don't tell. Shh. Oh, that's crazy. Is that what they have in common, him and Taylor? They love secrets? She's like, I love secrets so much, I'm going to have Adam Sandler, who is of the synagogue of Satan, right? He's a fake Jew, excuse me. I'm going to have him do my wedding. He's going to be up there on stage. What is even the connection between a football player, a musician, and then Adam Sandler? I mean, nobody even thinks that all these people are friends with each other. Well, I'll show you some of the people from the guest list, why they're even there, from politicians to directors. And I mean, the fashion industry. Like, well, she wears Tommy Hilfiger, so he should be at the wedding. Huh? Why are these people, how are they? Because they're all in the same bloodline. That's why and how all these celebrities are friends and they interbreed with one another or related to one another. All right, so he officiated the wedding. Remember this with Adam Sandler? Has anyone seen this before? He loves going on TV in his interviews and talking about pizza. He loves it. Right? Now think about that. Most people just, they're in a delta frequency when they're watching television. So they're, the TV brainwaves bring your mind down to a brainwave where you could be programmed. Okay, so you're not watching it critically thinking, right? You might be critically thinking you're doing some work for school or work for school, the institutions. So just think about something you're doing like where you're thinking, right? That's critically thinking. You don't do that when you watch TV. So they go out there and they always talk about this stuff in codes. Here's Sandler creepily talking about, well, these weird pizza parties at Jennifer Aniston's house.
I'm inviting you all to a pizza party tonight at Jennifer Aniston's house. I'll see you there.
Jennifer, every time we're with Jennifer, something great happens because everybody loves Jennifer. And she'll text me and say, I know something, Wednesday night if you want. I'll be like, come on, we just did that Saturday thing. We don't have to do too.
She likes to. She's busy all the time. I know she's the greatest host, but I'm going to bed at 9. I can't come over. Your thing starts at 8:30. So
yes, she can handle it. She can handle it. And her parties are incredible in her house too.
Yeah, she does have good parties, and she makes good pizza as well.
She makes great pizza.
Wonderful pizza. All right, known each other for years. Yeah. You've been to my house. We've had pizza. Girl after my own heart. Do we love a pizza or what? We love a pizza. It's so much fun. Now, someone did.
So these circles of friends that you guys have. You told a story about going and having pizza at the Clooney's in Lake Como.
Yeah, that's all an Aniston. She's like, George and I would love you to come over for pizza, buddy.
Oh my God!
Right.
What did you?
Except they lay on him a little bit. That's the only difference.
How was the pizza? Was it good? Did he make it
Amal's
himself?
pizza was better than Clooney's. They both made. Everybody made a certain kind of pizza.
There's no pizza we didn't love.
Something that he does.
5 different kinds. 5 different kinds or 6 different kinds of pizza. And Clooney's was excellent. Amal's was the winner.
I will tell you though, I don't know what you guys talked about, but
Yeah, of course, I'm sure it's a coincidence. Jennifer Aniston swears by the goddess circles. She's been doing that with her friends, performing spiritual rituals for 30 years, right? It's a coincidence that she's famous and Taylor's famous and Travis is famous. And I'm saying they're all just talking about pizza, witchcraft, rituals, right? But we're all the conspiracy nuts. Then we move on to the musical guest. The musical guest is Paul McCartney, right? One of the variations of Paul McCartney performed at the wedding. Here's Paul doing the 666 hand symbolism. Even back then, for people out there like, oh, I missed the old days with Elvis and the Beatles, right? Right out of Tavistock Institute. These are the first test samples of mind control on the masses, right? Beatlemania, these were all things that you see with every celebrity now. The obsession, the idol worship, it didn't exist, okay? They built this out. They tested it with the Beatles. They did all this mass hysteria with the Beatles, and then you would see women fainting at the Beatle concerts and at Elvis shows, right? I've showed you Elvis with the polio vaccine. Beatles, same thing, 666 hand sign, right? Right in front of you, devil horns, all this stuff, even the Masonic compass Paul McCartney does. Now, of course, we know all the theories about Paul McCartney being replaced and how many Paul McCartneys are there. Not going to go off track into that in this video, but what we'll look at, too, is Aleister Crowley right on the cover of that Beatles album. Right? Aleister Crowley always seems to just somehow be involved with all these people. References to Crowley, whether it's the Osiris Risen or any of these other things, right? The Beatles cover, they put all these weird, like, what's on the Beatles cover? All these people and Sgt. Pepper's. Who's that? Who's that? Oh, there's Aleister Crowley. What's he known for? Well, as I exposed many times, Man calls himself the beast himself, right? Performs witchcraft, Babylonian rituals, the whore of Babylon. I mean, all these things that Crowley has done and openly talked about. Black magic and how the purest form of magic, to execute it, you need the blood of a child, right? That must be a coincidence, right? They're putting him on their album cover, right? Or, Jonas Brothers wearing him on their shirt. So who else was there? I mean, they're telling us who's there. Tom Hanks left with Paul McCartney? Well, so Tom Hanks is there. How does he know them? Nobody asked questions like, why would Tom Hanks be associated with Taylor Swift? There's a big age gap. One's an actor, one's a musician. Is he a big Kansas City Chiefs fan? I mean, give me a break. All right, so here's Tom Hanks over the years doing the all-seeing eye symbolism with a camera. This is their cutesy way of doing it in front of you. They love coming up with ideas. Let's have a seashell over our eye, or a cookie, or a camera. Right here, he's doing the 666 hand sign. Here is a real obvious one, right, with the Freemasonic hand symbolism that we've seen, even the hidden hand tucked under his arm, and creepy stuff I've covered over the years Tom Hanks has posted. And Tom Hanks has come on everyone's radar, thankfully. One of the benefits of some of the stuff with the Epstein talk out there is that people have gone down rabbit holes of some of these celebrities. When I used to do this, they would be like, Tom Hanks isn't in. I love Forrest Gump. I'm not going to believe that. I love Toy Story. I don't want to believe that. Right? And you go through his Instagram and you're like, that's pretty weird. He's got a kid with his face smashed in a pile of food. It's just creepy, right? Or, just taking pictures of pacifiers on the ground and saying, let this be the final lost pacifier of 2019, and nobody goes, what in the world? Well, we know the core of the occult and Satanism is child sacrifice, right? And in fact, let me just show you a couple of clips I put together. Tom Hanks over the years, who has deflected on the existence of the Illuminati and, kind of mocks Christianity. We know he's in the Da Vinci Code, right? So that's just another deception they put out there to make it, mock Jesus Christ and say Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene were together, all that kind of stuff. But even in some of his films, right, depicting witchcraft, satanic rituals, sacrifice. It must be a coincidence. Tom Hanks. Here he is, folks.
You are really getting into the great path towards enlightenment and an understanding and a questioning of our universe that goes much beyond the norms of obeying, a church dogma or of a church status. So,
Art, you had a dream you were going to win the lottery and you blew $500.
Oh, I can't believe you're still bringing that
I
up.
had a dream a plane was going to crash, so you took the bus to Las Vegas.
If I'm telling you, these people are Satanists. As I sit here, they are Satanists. Look, the world is full of these kind of things. Look at this. Black masses, mutilations. I'm telling you, Walter was a human sacrifice. Do you want him to take your family, kidnap them, tear their livers out, and make some kind of satanic pate? Unconscious chanting. You're chanting. I want to kill everyone. Satan is good. Satan is our pal. Once they get in here, it's over, pal.
Satanists, huh? Ritual killers. Nice. Hex are offering up Walter as a sort of human sacrifice to Beelzebub. Is that it?
That's one of the theories, yeah.
What they did to me.
Ooh, I bet that hurts, huh?
Hey, Ray, it's not Skip, it's me, Art. I'm just pretending to be Skip. Hey, you didn't have the CNI stick around here, did you?
Mind your own business.
Oh, Doug again. What is, come on, they already decided who wins even before it happens.
Yes! Hey, the Illuminati figured that out months ago.
Right? So you'd be amazed at how often they reference the occult and Satanism and what they're involved in through signs and symbols or even scenes like that in movies. And then they put stuff out there like these people are all satanic panic nut jobs, right? You guys are always talking about it, whether you're openly talking about it on interviews, right? Or you're, deflecting by putting articles out there saying there's no way it's a satanic ritual wedding at Madison Square Garden, right? Well, you start looking at the signs and symbols and all this stuff with NDAs, right? Taylor Swift's wedding NDAs, like I said earlier. You can't report anything. She wouldn't invite anybody who couldn't be trusted, who isn't in the inner circle, but we know everybody who she's friends with is in the inner circle. Let's be real. And then they gave us just a list of some of the other people who were at the wedding. MGK, Machine Gun Kelly. Remember when he took that bloodbath? I'm sure this is just random art, right? For those of you who don't know, in Satanism, like Christians are baptized in water symbolically. In the occult, they're baptized in blood and feces. They like that kind of thing, right? They like to get baptized in poop and blood. Here's Machine Gun Kelly doing it. We've seen Eminem do it. I'm sure it's a coincidence. Stephen Colbert was there. What is the connection between them? Nobody knows. I mean, it's just really random, right? You've seen him do in the bathtub. Again, the bathtub doesn't have to be filled with blood, but they love to put themselves in bathtubs. It depicts their baptism in Satanism. So they love to show you them in bathtubs, right? Why would you have Stephen Colbert in a bathtub with bubbles, right? It's inside coding. You're not, is anyone looking at this going, that's hilarious, Stephen Colbert's in a bathtub, right? You just look at it, you're just like, oh, he's weird, he's a comedian, I don't get it. 0 people laughed at it, but that's them revealing themselves, right? And over the years, again, his obsession with Pizzagate, he was one of the first to come out and try to deflect, even though he was directly involved in it, which I'm sure played a part in it with John Podesta, right? What in the world's he doing hanging out with John Podesta, even pre his fame here? But he would go on TV talking about Pizzagate, crazy conspiracy theorists, right? Meanwhile, he's got tons of imagery with him eating pizza, just like you saw in the Adam Sandler clip, their obsession with pizza. Nobody thinks about it. Sure, everybody, the food pizza likes the food pizza. Are you talking about the food pizza? If you're on national TV, you get an interview, is that what you want to bring up? Why? You think Jennifer Aniston's really having pizza parties where she's making pizza? Like Jennifer Aniston's whipping up a pie, right? These people have billions of dollars. She's like, everybody come over to my house. And she's cooking for them. They don't even have to cook themselves. We all know that. They have their own chefs, right? We know what they're referencing with all these things. And again, Colbert with the pizza, Colbert doing the all-seeing eye symbols. Even again, the 666 with the fingers, just like Taylor Swift with the hat. Who else was there? J-Lo was there, right? Another obvious one, all-seeing eye symbolism with J-Lo. Just going through a couple of them so you could see, right? Steven Spielberg there. What is he doing? What is his connection, right? Well, other than Bloodline, nothing. But Bloodline is the connection, right? Here he is doing the all-seeing eye, the hand over the one eye. Just released Disclosure Day. I'm sure it's a coincidence, right? A movie about aliens, a.k.a. demons, right? Demonic possession, really. Right? Look at the symbolism, the all-seeing eye. Right on the eyeball, folks. Never seen that before. Every celebrity with one hand on the eye on the back of the dollar bill. All these movie posters, the all-seeing eye. Even just doing a flat all-seeing eye with Saturn's ring around it. We deserve to know. Right? The deception, the alien deception. And Steven Spielberg, if you didn't know, it's pretty obvious. And pay attention if you look at the pictures and the imagery. Here's a creepy picture of him with Drew Barrymore and the little girl from Poltergeist, who conveniently died mysteriously, and of course we know is likely part of a satanic ritual sacrifice. And Steven Spielberg, we're told, is this great director because of movies like Jaws. And then, he's got his hand in everything. He makes sure things like Schindler's List are out there to keep you under control. Of course, movies like that created to protect who's really behind all these human sacrifice rituals. Tom Brady's there. You'll say, well, the connections, Tom Brady and Travis Kelce played football. They never played together on the same team. What is their friendship? Nobody knows. Oh, right. The friendship is they love, doing all-seeing eye symbols. And here's Tom Brady doing it. Tom Brady normalizing the GOAT, right? So we have that, like Travis Kelce's father, right? They've mentioned the GOAT, as I said earlier, right? Well, Tom Brady's one of those guys they say is the GOAT. He's got his own, they did a Samuel Adams beer for him with him as the GOAT, right? Referencing the Baphomet. Even at one point in time during the Super Bowl, he came out and admitted his wife was a witch and that she had an altar and did witchcraft to help Tom Brady win football games, right? Videos available on the website. So far we have Adam Sandler officiated, right? Mr. Pizza. We have Paul McCartney, the Satanist from the Tavistock Institute, just like Taylor Swift, perform music, along with Stevie Nicks, who's one of the biggest witches in existence. Will admit to being a witch right to you if you're interested. Stevie Nicks does not hide that Stevie Nicks is a witch, so Stevie Nicks performed. Couple wore Christian Dior couture. Is that the word couture? I mean, it's just so gay, the stuff with the fashion. But the fashion industry is the most demonic, one of the most demonic things out there. Nobody has questions about it because they're allowed to do stuff like this Dior video I covered years ago about the couture show where you could see the black and white floor, the eyes hanging above. This bizarre code. Nobody goes, why are they? All right, this isn't like what you're buying at Walmart or wherever you buy your clothes, right? Ralph Lauren. This isn't like normal clothes, okay? You're not going to see somebody at the beach likely unless you're on an island somewhere with these people dressed in these demonic outfits, right? But nobody asks that. So you go, well, how are all these guys famous? Like, these are the fashion shows. They wear these bizarre outfits. right? But they never get sold to the public, so they make money. Well, the fashion industry is a front for laundering money, just like the art industry, right? Because they launder money, and that's how they get away with human trafficking and child trafficking, right? So they all had the couture on, and of course, Tommy Hilfiger's there, right? Tommy Hilfiger, you think he's famous for making clothes that nobody wants to wear? Is Tommy, I mean, he's there, so obviously he's still around. I mean, I don't shop, but I haven't seen a Tommy Hilfiger store in maybe like 20 to 30 years, but I'm not in the U.S. anymore. So anyway, Tommy Hilfiger was in attendance, and as I just mentioned, with all of these guys that you're told who are fashion industry, you know, they come up with these ideas, they're creative, then they make you think that you could become the next fashion designer when you can't, just like you can't become a famous actor, actress. It's just the mouse in the wheel, I call it, getting you to want to be girls to be into fashion, or flamers to be into fashion, getting regular people to want to be musicians or actors, right? And then telling you it's your dream and all this stuff, instead of just being like, hey, I just need to be able to take care of my family, need to be able to farm, provide water, have kids, you know, those are the like purposes of living, right? You know, no, you don't have to have kids. I mean, I don't, but you know what I mean? Like they get everybody into the rat and the wheel, chasing things that they can't achieve, right? It leads to depression, alcoholism, drug addiction, right? All these people who think that they can make it in Hollywood, they're told, you could do it, you could try, everybody can. And then they give you fake backstories on all the celebrities, so you think that they actually did it on their own, right? But nonetheless, not going off track here. Tommy Hilfiger, again, all these guys in the fashion industry, they're not talented, they're occultists. And they even showed you this in Zoolander 2. You may remember this scene where I'm sure because they use comedy to deflect, and the truth is in comedy, the truth is in these things in the movies where they tell you it's fiction. They even show you a massive ritual sacrifice of Zoolander's son. They need the blood of a child, right? I'm sure this is all coincidental, right? And Tommy Hilfiger's there chanting, give us the blood.
It's Alexander Wang and Vera Wang. Both Wangs. Mark Jacobs. Tommy Hilfiger.
They are all here for the sacrifice.
In the beginning of time, God created Adam and Eve. And Steve. Mugatu. Mugatu.
Jacobin Mugautu has delivered us
The chosen way,
And behold, God expunged Steve from the garden, only to redeem us with eternal youth, bathed in the blood of the fat little chosen one.
Now you don't have a ceremonial night, which means no fountain of youth.
Come on, Derek, we need the blood.
Stop being so emotional, Derek. Just give him the goddamn knife.
Derek, we need the blood! Blood of Steve! Blood of Steve!
Blood of Steve! Blood of Steve!
Blood of Steve! Give him back the knife, Derek!
Blood of Steve!
And I'm sure that was really a live look of what you actually would have seen inside of Taylor Swift's wedding ceremony, right? You know, I mean, people coming in through underground tunnels and, you know, nobody being allowed inside with NDAs, right? But I'm sure they're going to release, again, fake imagery, fake pictures from the wedding that'll just be AI, and they'll tell you that that's what occurred, but it's likely was a massive altar on the stage, I'll tell you that much. And lastly, as you know, you can go through all the celebrities that they show. I believe there's like hundreds, thousands of people went. So we don't have time to obviously do that, but I just wanted to note a few of them to you so you could see, I mean, you know, what's the connection? Brad Paisley. Oh, because he sings music, right? Brad Paisley was there. You're like, who's Brad Paisley? Well, Brad Paisley is a Freemason, a Shriner, right? And that's really what this is all rooted in. This is how they get away with being practitioners in the occult out in the open and then grooming your children through Freemasonry and secret societies in your town. Then they tell you people like me are nuts, that it's just a bunch of frat guys who after college wanted to get into a group and do keg stands together, right? That's why they don't have windows that you could look through. That's why they meet in secret, right? I mean, it's all by definition what you would say conspiracy is. They meet in secret. You're not allowed to know what they're talking about. All things that should be illegal. They have signs for on the highway so you can find the Mason Lodge if you're from another town and you're coming through. It's all incredible. Well, incredibly bad, but I mean incredible, like that nobody notices it. And Brad Paisley, just a guy, I mean, nobody can name a song by Brad Paisley. If you can, I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed for you. But here's Brad Paisley talking about being a Freemason. Remember, these people, they go into these Freemasonry, et cetera, is how they normalize Satanism and the occult on a township level. They're at a different level. They're in and graduate, gone through Freemasonry, graduate, but highest initiatives in Freemasonry. And then they go into different branches of the occult, different sectors of the occult, right? Where they learn, more Crowley stuff, blah, blah, blah. But on the township level, this is how they have control over our towns. This is that Freemasons are usually the guys on your board of directors, on your school board, right? The guys that you think are voted in as, town hall, where these little nobody guys. And then they are the ones that bring all this, woke crap into the schools and stuff with the trans, et cetera. That's how it works. It's all the way down to the Freemason Lodge. That's why it's important. People are like, talk about the Vatican. I do. Talk about the fake Jews. I do. But you got to remember, Freemason, this is how they get you on a township level. This is how they have total control. This is how they groom your kids, because Freemasons have, organizations like the DeMolay, right? Which we know Walt Disney's connection to that, where they groom your young boys, and they have the same thing with the Eastern Star Witches in your town that groom your young girls with the Rainbow Girls and Job's Daughters. But here's Brad, who was in attendance at the wedding, talking about how proud he is to be a Freemason and how, well, he's pretty much bragging that they know all and we know nothing.
I'm Brad Paisley, and I am a Scottish Rite Mason. We live in a society where people don't have much tolerance for different religious beliefs, different political beliefs. This intolerance is a different kind of intolerance than the kind that led to the formation of America. We are talking about an intolerance that's mostly verbal. Masonry is really without equal in terms of a belief system, which is that no one can be told what to believe, especially when it comes to the very personal nature of belief in a higher power. And Freemasonry is, I think, the best path to that. It's worked for this country for 200-something years, and I needed this viewpoint of total equality for all peoples and all religions.
Well, we know you're a douchebag, Brad, and we know your music sucks. But we don't know if your music sucks or not, because nobody's ever heard it. Nobody can name a song that you actually sing. So back to Taylor and Travis's wedding. Again, as secretive as can be, but of course then they let little things out. If they really wanted a secretive wedding, they obviously could have went. Nobody would have known, right? I mean, why would you have to know? Right? They wanted you to know it was a Madison Square Garden, a big deal. It's a mass ritual. Of course it is. You'll get fake imagery, but there is definitely bloodshed inside of Madison Square Garden with the people that were in attendance there, because that's what they do. That's what weddings and ceremonies are to them. There's blood sacrifice and blood involved. They show you it, they tell you it, and then they deny it. They use humor. They use articles like we saw with Newsweek, and they'll flat out be like, these people are all nuts. Yeah, we're all nuts. We already talk about 33 coding and all these things and these fake shootings at schools and all this stuff. They always reveal that stuff, and then they just ignore it. They're like, oh, I don't know what they're talking about, the fake coding of 33, right? Yeah, and the weddings on 33rd Street, Madison Square Garden, the connection to J.P. Morgan, all these other guys, these bloodlines that are really responsible for the matrix grid that we live in, the enslavement system to the dollar that we live in, and everything else, right? But Taylor's just good old gleeful. Oh, Taylor Swift. Oh, shucks, right? And Travis Kelce, just a football player, right? Who's telling everyone out there to go and get boosted, right? So it was a who's who of the Illuminati at the wedding. And again, all my videos on Taylor Swift over the years are on the website at callforuprising.com. Again, the more people that join the website, the more content I can make over here. People out there ask me if there's ways they could support my work so I can make more content. I do have a PayPal. It is linked below. I do have a Patreon if you want to be a monthly supporter. And you don't have to do anything if you don't want to. It's perfectly fine. You can just watch the videos. I'm trying to make as much as I possibly can, but of course time is the issue since they've demonetized and shut down. For those of you who don't know, I've had 90 channels terminated over the years. I think it's more. At one point it was 88, and then I had a bunch get taken out at the end there. I think I had Nations Conspire, Hurting Humanity. I can't even remember. There's been so many. I had to stop calling them a call for an uprising because they were following me on Delia. I was calling like a call for judgment, a call for a time to uprise. I mean, time and time. I had to come up with names just so the algorithm and the AI and then the people, the small amount of employees, YouTube couldn't find me. But Eventually, because of digital footprint and how they track your PC, even with a VPN, they made it nearly impossible for you to make new channels because they didn't want me to be monetized. So they brought this channel back. That way, if I'm not monetized, they know I won't make as much content, and then they could just keep an eye on me here. And that's really the whole purpose, to see what people like me are talking about, because they want to know. They're obsessed with all of us. They're obsessed with our minds. They want to see who's seeing what, who knows what, how we're talking about, of course. So they watch and they monitor. They make sure the channel doesn't grow. And that's how this whole operation is currently working on YouTube. So anyway, folks, that's the wedding for you in a nutshell. If they come out with photographs of what happened inside, I'm not going to do a breakdown unless it would be overly ridiculous. But if they did, you'll probably see some stuff like black and white tiles. But I wouldn't believe any of it to be real anyway. If they come out and they go, we're revealing it to People magazine, probably would just do that because they want people out there who are talking about it potentially being a satanic, wedding and etc. If more videos and people talk about stuff, they'll just go, oh, those people are conspiracy nuts. Look, here are the pictures. And it's AI that you wouldn't be able to tell if it was real or fake. I mean, look how good the AI is that they released to us. So just imagine what type of technology they have that they hide from us. And we all know that's, of course, DARPA government tech. So the wedding occurred. Was the Antichrist born? I don't know. I mean, if any believe he's here, if any believe there's many Antichrists, sure. I mean, we know demons were summoned, that's for sure. Well, summoned by attending, because we know demons were in attendance. And they all came through underground, by the way. And that'll go right above everyone's head. Nobody will go, underground entrance to Madison Square Garden? Why does that exist? Right? Oh, well, if you actually knew, there's an entire underground world under our feet. A whole world. Highways underneath our feet, okay? Where these people network and traffic human beings, because again, when people go missing, you can't, because there's a camera on every street corner, right? So people should have heard that at the underground in the Madison Square Garden and said, what, underground? There's underground entrances? But then they hear that, they just go, oh, they have underground entrance Madison Square Garden because people play there. Celebrities play there, so they have right? Did you know under DC they have underground entrances to get in and out, right? These actors, so that people don't actually find them and confront them. They're everywhere, folks, underground tunnels and entrances. So that was the wedding, folks. Was the Antichrist born? I don't know. But we know that many, like I said, demons were in attendance. I thank you for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.